Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and welcome back to another review, this time of Exit Wounds. Seagal had been directed DVD for a little bit, and he got his comeback that lasted one movie. I'm not sure why, because after this he did Half Past Dead, which is a pretty shitty film, which I'll get into next time. But this was a hit. This made over $50 million. Joel Silver producing it. Decent budget film. Went into theaters. I remember this being advertised and being, oh wow, Seagal's back on the big screen. I don't remember if I saw this in the theater. I might have. I can't remember. And the reason I'm pausing a lot is because, yeah, this is one of the only Steven Seagal films that have special features. It's got little behind the scenes making of from back in the day. DMX, his music video to his song No Sunshine. A little bit, which is a day on the set with Anthony Anderson, one of the actors. The trailer for the film. It's directed by Andrzej Bartkowiak. I don't know how to say his name. He's the same guy who did Romeo Must Die. After this, he did Cradle to the Grave. And did he do... Yeah, he did Doom as well. He did Doom with Carl Urban and The Rock. And I'll be honest, I like quite a bit of his movies because Romeo Must Die, I want to give it another watch. I like this film. I actually do like Cradle to the Grave. It could be better. It does have flaws. One of the big flaws of Cradle to the Grave is the ending. Don't have 3-4 fights and cut every one of them. You ever fight with Jet Li and Mark Dacascos, don't fucking cut the fight down. Which apparently it did, which pisses me off. And don't have it mixed with a DMX fight and then mixed with two women fighting and then go back and then go back. To me, that's one of the big fuck-ups of that movie, but I still like Cradle to the Grave. It's not awesome, but I like it. Just like I like this film, and I like Doom. I'm one of the only 2-3 people on Earth that like Doom with Carl Urban. I mean, if I go into plot, it's fairly simple. It takes place in Detroit. Steven Seagal is trying to be a good cop. One day, these guys try to fuck up the vice president. One of the bad guys are in this chopper with a happy face, or as I call it, the Mick Foley chopper. Because it's a smiley face and it says, have a nice day. So I call it the Mick Foley chopper. And a cop car gets shot and flips over, and Seagal drives in. He shoots a bunch of bad guys, gets in this truck, runs over one bad guy. And at this point, the bad guy are pretending to be cops. Shoots a lot of bad guys, blows up the Mick Foley chopper, throws the vice president over into the water down below, and they're on a bridge to save him, and he shoots the bad guys. And at this point, he has one of those rapid-fire pistols. It's like a pistol, but shoots like as if it was an automatic. I don't know what's the terminology of that kind of pistol. Is it just an automatic pistol, rapid-fire pistol? I'm not the best with guns, so someone can let me know what kind of gun that is. And pretty much even though he saved the vice president, he humiliated the vice president, so he gets into trouble. And actually, one of the guys he talks to is Bill Duke. And that's an actor that I wish was in more movies, Bill Duke. I mean, he was Mac in Predator. He was in Commando. This Green Beret's gonna kick your ass. Really enjoyed Bill Duke. Always a pleasure to see him on screen. And he's in the film for a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end. Kind of wish we saw him more, but Bill Duke, just one of those great character actors. Pretty much sends him to a shitty precinct. And the captain there is a woman played by Jill Hennessy, I believe is her name. He's like, well, she's pretty much going, you can't be a lone wolf, and you're also going to take anger management. And so you have a fun bit where he's in anger management, and Tom Arnold is there. I thought Tom Arnold actually did a pretty good job. In this film, Cradle to the Grave, I thought he did pretty decent in this kind of role. And Tom Arnold's talking about how he's a ticking time bomb ready to implode, and the female running the anger management said, no, you've talked a lot, let's let him talk. And Seagal goes, you see this face? This is a happy face. But he does the same face that he usually does. Breaks his fucking desk, leaves. And that's where you get the first fight scene. And you had an action scene in the beginning, but then you get your first fight scene where it's very stylized, and there's a bit of wire work, and that's one of my problems with the film, is the wire work. Seagal and wire work does not mix. And he's doing his moves, but they're not as... Even though it's R-rated, they don't feel as violent as his earlier stuff. You don't hear as many bones breaking, and doesn't seem to have as much viciousness as his previous movies. Maybe because they wanted to make this a bit more mainstream, even though it's R-rated, they toned that a little bit down, which is too bad. I mean, it's R-rated, go for it. But I mean, it's not... I understood what's going on. It's not... I don't think it's badly shot. I don't think it's badly edited. It's just a little bits of wire work. This one bit where you could tell, and they show this in a little bit behind the scenes, where Seagal leans down, touches his hand on the ground, his leg lifts up and kicks the guy. If we've all seen Seagal films, we know he can't move like that. And then when he comes back up, he grabs his hip. Like, imagine his hip is this, and his hand grabs like the side of it as if he's grabbing the wire. And you see the behind the scenes, that's what he's doing. When it comes back, he's like grabbing the wire. I guess that's the best take they could get of it. It just looks awkward. Same thing later on when he's facing these two big bodyguards in this club, and they have this move where Seagal does a flip on top of the guy. Imagine this is the bodyguard, and Seagal's here. He gets on top, his hands go on top here, do a cartwheel over him. And just, Steven Seagal doesn't need wire work. Just like, to me, Van Damme doesn't need wire work. Like I say, some scenes in films like Knockoff are kind of... Because he's not Jackie Chan, he's Van Damme. You know, he's not Jet Li, he's Van Damme, so we'll just let him do his Van Damme stuff. It's like, if you don't have Steven Seagal, just have him be Steven Seagal. Don't have him be wire work. Or even the jumping over the car that's coming at him. Granted, that was done before in Showdown Little Tokyo, but I can even say Showdown Little Tokyo is a better movie than Exit Wounds. It's a lot more fun. But I still like Exit Wounds. I still think it's a good movie. But if you don't compare Showdown Little Tokyo is a classic. I mean, I don't know if I can say Exit Wounds is a classic, but for an early 2000s action film that has a rapper as a co-star, it's actually, I don't think it's that bad. I know it gets some bad reviews, but I don't think it's a piece of shit. It doesn't touch the classic Seagal films, like From Above the Law, and, you know, Glimmer Man, and yes, I consider it a classic Seagal film for me. Out for Justice, Hard to Kill. But to get back on the saddle again, I thought this was a good effort, and that's what confuses me more, that you follow this with Half Past Dead. And Half Past Dead wasn't even the same company, Warner Brothers, and Joel Silver had nothing to do with it, so I figure if you don't do another film, why these people weren't involved, you would think... I mean, Warner Brothers, I know they were tired of Seagal, but obviously they took another chance to release another film with him, and it was successful. So I don't know why they didn't capitalize on that, but maybe that's Seagal's choice. I don't know. Maybe they had a bad experience making the film. I know DMX in one interview said that Seagal was a dickhead. So I guess you hear that a lot about Seagal, that he's a dickhead. You hear enough times, you wonder if it's true. But anyways, the fight's okay and it's with these guys trying to steal his car. It's a fun little fight, but just very stylized and a little bit of wire work, which wasn't needed. And Tom Arnold, again, I thought he was pretty decent in the film. He's a cop, he doesn't do all this shit all the time. I never minded Tom Arnold. In True Lies and films like this, I thought he worked fine. And then one of the big fuck-ups that I wasn't even looking for this. Okay, DMX is going to a jail to see what we later find out is his brother. It's about 18 minutes in. So anyone who has the DVD, you know I'm not lying about this. Go to like 17 minutes, 55 seconds, or 18 minutes into your movie on the DVD. Look at the name of the county jail. This is how county is spelled. COVNTY. It's a fucking V. It's not a U, it's a fucking V. It's literally a V like this. It's not a U, it's a V. I'm like, that's a Coventry jail? He's going to the Coventry? What's the Coventry? Is that where witches are? What's a Coventry? How do they fuck that up? Did they just go, oh, that's a U? Without their glasses on? Yeah, I think that's a U. Wait a minute, that's a V because there's a point at the bottom. And I'm like, this is a big budget, at least compared to other Seagal films and other stuff. Fairly decent sized budget, and no one fucking noticed this fuck up. So that got me a good laugh. But then the whole thing you find out is, at first you think DMX is a bad guy, who him and Anthony Anderson, they buy this new car, and there's a little bit of shtick where the one guy who is black trying to sell him the car, trying to be righteous, but he's a pompous prick. But then the other guy who's very quiet lets DMX do what he wants, and he gets a commission. So you get a little bit of comedy shticks in there. Anthony Anderson, I don't mind as an actor. I've never minded him. I think he does fine in movies like this. And you find out that DMX is meeting with a guy who is a cop, and he's a dirty cop. And jumping ahead later on, you find out DMX is not a bad guy. He's actually a rich guy who can afford all this shit. And he wants to put himself undercover because his brother wrongfully got put in jail over drugs. And he was framed by these dirty cops, so he wants to bust these dirty cops to get info. So he has cameras all over his car, cameras on his shirt. And he got famous doing something with the internet. I forget exactly what it was. And so that's why he's doing this. But at this point, Seagal and such think he's a bad guy. And you have a little action sequence where the cop is fighting Seagal, and the cop has one of those saws, and Seagal has a chain link fence, and like the saw's trying to get through the fence. Seagal disarms him, and then the guy finds out, I'm a cop, and I'm going to have you demoted, and I've been undercover. So Seagal is a traffic cop. You get some humor there where Seagal trying to be a traffic cop, and cars get being fucked up. And then you have a sequence after where some other cops are hazing each other with tasers in the shower room. And they try to fuck with Seagal and taser him, and then Seagal starts fighting, or about ready to, and Michael Jai White pops in, stops a guy. And it was cool to see Michael Jai White. I mean, he doesn't have too much to do, but he's always a nice presence. Has a little fight with Seagal, which I'm sure was cut down, because unfortunately that's what happens in some of these movies. The fights get cut down. I think I remember hearing somewhere in an interview that that fight was a lot longer. Just like the Martha Casa Jet Li fight, which is a fuck up. You should not be cutting that shit out. If you really need stuff to cut out, there are other places you cut out. Some of the comedy shtick you could cut out. Not that it bothered me, but I would prefer the fight scenes over the comedy shtick. But yeah, not like it bugged me. There's a lot of other films that have that kind of stuff that bugged me a lot more. Um, and you also introduce Isaiah Washington, who's a good cop, and later on he becomes Seagal's partner. And Michael Jai White, you find out you think he's a decent guy, but he's really the main villain. And dirty cops dealing with heroin and other drugs. This is one little scene that didn't add up to much, where you find Seagal finds some people tied up and rescues this girl. That's a scene that could have had some nice fisticuffs, like Seagal doing some fisticuffs, but then, of course, if he stopped them, he would be able to find out they are dirty cops, so you can't do that. So pretty much little nothing scene. Honestly, that whole sequence could have been cut out. It's kind of added nothing to the flick. If this little plot points, you could have put that somewhere else. It just filler that wasn't needed. But Seagal goes to Anthony Anderson's club, and that's where Anthony Anderson, he calls these two bodyguard guys. One he fights and chops and tries to karate chop him, and then that's where you get the flip with the wire fu, and he's fighting these two bodyguards. He gets a chain on his hands and punches one guy in the throat, and the guy flies back. And it's an alright little fight scene. But that's one thing I'll say, the fight scenes are not... They're alright because at least Seagal seemed like he was getting back into shape. Seemed like he was, a bit thinner. And he was looking pretty good in the flick. And the fight scenes, it's Seagal doing it. And it's not an obvious fight double like in the next film, Half Past Dead. That's why, like, Half Past Dead, he actually looks pretty decent, but then the next movie is much more bulky, as if he's ready to play Santa Claus. So I don't know what the fuck happened in between this and Half Past Dead. Was it half past lunch and you... I don't know what the fuck happened. And compared to Half Past Dead, this is a classic. Half Past Dead, I'll get to next time. But pretty much... dealing with those guys and the bodyguards, need some more info, finds Tom Arnold, has 2 pairs of titties in his face, lucky guy. DMX finds out that Michael Jai White's behind it, and what is it with drugs and heroin, and it's like dousing these t-shirts so that the dogs can't find it, and I guess you're extracted from the t-shirt, and I don't know, some other drug mumbo-jumbo stuff. You have a decent little action scene where people kidnap Seagal. Some dirty cops have him handcuffed in this van. Little fight where he's kicking people while he's handcuffed and the van flips over and some of the cops fly out and he's able to get out in time and the van blows up. Decent little action sequence. You have this little fight between DMX and Seagal, which I don't buy DMX holding his own. And then the fight is just like 40 seconds at most. And then DMX tells him the truth and what's really going on. Also, what's funny, there's an actress, Eva Mendes. And Eva Mendes, you've seen her in a lot of stuff. Just look her up. It's like she was in Too Fast, Too Furious. I think she was in Ghost Rider, the first one, Nick Cage. Apparently she's dubbed. And I listened closely. I'm like, yeah, that's not her voice. In the trivia, she was told, I think by the producer, that her voice were dubbed because she didn't sound intelligent enough. And I think on the Late Show she said, I'm on a Steven Seagal movie and I got my voice dubbed because I didn't sound too intelligent enough. And I don't know why her voice was dubbed. Because Joel Silver is a fat fuck idiot. He's also the guy that, oh, Thomas Jane can't be in Bullet to the Head because we need an ethnic guy. Yeah, Son Kane really helped your box office in your movie, didn't ya? Fucking phone guy really helped you. Because that's all he was in that film. Fucking Wikipedia man. Fucking phone cop. But that's a different story. Anyway, the film goes at a good enough pace. I think that's one thing that helps it. It's decently flashy direction, mixed with quite a few alright to okay to pretty decent action sequences. For example, the next action scene where Steven Seagal gets to his female superior officer and they get into this little car chase. An actual surprise in the movie. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, what? When during the car chase, the female superior, Jill Hennessy, dies. And I'm like, I just didn't expect that to happen. I'm like, whoa. Wait, she's dead? Ooh, she got smashed right into the windshield, and I did not see that coming. I will admit, good job, movie. I mean, you try to have a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of them don't work. But that one did. I did not expect that character to die. I must admit. That's a pretty... That's a nice job. I didn't expect that. Then Seagal gets on a motorcycle, just chase some more, and that's when you get the scene where he's in an alley, he can't go anywhere. The car's coming at him fast, and he jumps over the car. I'm like, great, you stealing from Showdown Little Tokyo now? All the characters left beat at the end, and Seagal gets screwed over by this other superior. And I know I've seen that actor before, but I can't remember his fucking name. I think he's the guy in The Last Boy Scout who knows how many fingers I cut to fuck her. I can't remember. I know if I... Bruce McGill, is that his name? I'll look it up. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's based on a novel, Edgy Wounds by John Westermann, but apparently, of course, it's going to be not like the book. Bruce McGill, yeah. That's the superior who turncoats and fucks over Steven Seagal. Yeah, he was in Time Cop. That's right. He was in Time Cop as Van Damme's boss. He's been in a lot of flicks. And, you know, I liked in The Last Boy Scout as Bruce Willis' buddy who was sleeping with his Bruce's wife. And then Bill Duke shows up and kicks some ass, which was fun. And he has one of the best moments of the movie to me, where he tells Isaiah Washington to throw this canister of explosives and shoots it, blows up a bunch of people, then gets to Bruce McGill, hey, shoots the shit out of him, you're fired. Bill Duke really sold that. I'm like, I wish he was in the movie more. Why didn't he get a chance to star in his own action movie? I would pay to see that. Bill Duke. Just like Carl Weathers, I wish he got to do more action movies as the lead. Bill Duke, give him... They didn't even give him one shot. Just like I'm always surprised Sonny Landham never starred in an action movie by himself. But, you know, that's how it is. But Bill Duke, he's great in it. And you get little fights in between. DMX, who makes this shotgun belt. Just puts the belt on a shotgun, so he hides, and when he hits... He throws the shotgun up, pushes down, and it fires. Thought that was an interesting idea. And he's fighting one dirty cop, which ends with hitting the guy, and the guy's head hitting the sprinklers. The guy's trying to push and impale DMX into the wall, and DMX shrugs off his coat and pushes the guy and uses the momentum to impale the guy's neck. Mixed in with Seagal fighting Michael Jai White, and they're fighting with paper cutters, as if they were swords. And then they get to the rooftop, and Michael Jai White kind of do a little Joker from '89 Batman, where the helicopter, and there's a ladder, and Michael Jai White's trying to climb the ladder. Seagal gets it, hooks it to a pipe that's on the roof, which makes the helicopter flutter. And it is like the Joker, except the Joker didn't get impaled when he fell, he just died. Here, Michael Jai White falls and gets impaled, which is a decent little death. And then pretty much, everything's okay. DMX's brother's gonna be let out. And the end credits is Tom Arnold and Anthony Anderson. They're working together on Tom Arnold's TV show. And I thought those two had some fun chemistry with each other. I thought they worked well together. I thought they were also fun in Cradle to the Grave, because they do a similar thing there at the end credits. I'd probably say I had more fun with the Cradle to the Grave end credits than this, but it was still fun. And I know throughout this review, it's like, wow, did this guy like it? He doesn't really have much energy, but it's just been one of those days. What can I say? It's not the movie. It's just been one of those days. I mean, faults with the film. The fight scenes are not going to be much when you compare it to older Seagal films. But at the same time, they're decent. And the action scenes, they have a budget to not make it look cheap. It didn't look like a cheap film. You get some nice little car chases and a fight between Jai White and Steven Seagal with paper cutters and some little fisticuffs here and there and some shootouts and practical explosions, and I didn't really notice much CGI. Maybe the little teeny things to enhance stuff, but DMX, I thought he did alright. I don't think he was that bad in the flick. I don't mind DMX. I didn't care for the film he starred in, Never Die Alone. I thought that movie was boring, but when he's working with someone else, I thought he does okay. I know he was in a bit part Romeo Must Die, then of course after he being Cradled to the Grave. The Other than a little bit of wire food that wasn't needed, and it's not a bad movie. I'm trying to think of, but I don't really have much problems with the flick. It's just not as, it's R-rated, but it doesn't feel as R-rated viciousness as Seagal's earlier films. And it's a mainstream, produced by Joel Silver. I had fun, mainstream action movie. I don't mind Edge of Wounds. I know a lot of people hate on it, but I thought it was decent. Seagal looked fairly good in the flick. Looked like he was trying to get back in shape, but then I guess he just disregarded a lot of that. I don't know what the whole deal was. But for a comeback, I thought it was a pretty decent effort. I just don't know why. What happened after? What happened? Half Past Dead happened, but like, why was that his next movie? Why, Seagal, did you choose that? Yeah, I thought this was a pretty decent flick. I mean, I actually liked some of the songs. I liked the No Sunshine. Ain't no sunshine where it's gone. Only darkness every day. Thought that was a pretty decent song. Yeah, fun movie. Fun flick. It's just, the wire fu stuff was stupid, and also at the ending, stop with the fucking having 2 or 3 fights and cutting and back and forth and the back and forth. No, have one fight scene from beginning to the end, then have another fight scene beginning. Don't intercut shit, because it's like you get into this fight, then you get pulled out because now you're into this fight, then you get pulled out, then you're into this fight. You keep getting pulled in and out, in and out. Have it all in, then you finish, then you go out. Is that how the director has sex? He goes in, out, then in and out here, then in and out here. Oh, I don't know when to finish. That's a weird way of having sex, director. That's like having sex with your pants on. Don't do it. Take the fucking pants off. Be in. Don't. Oh, and don't cut out fight scenes. If the fight scene between Michael J. White and Steven Seagal was longer, then I want to see the full fucking fight scene. I don't know if that's true, but I remember hearing about that. So that's disappointing. The wire fu shit wasn't needed. But other than that, I thought the cast did fine. Isaiah Washington, he's good, but it's not like there's much to his character. He's just a guy who wants to do the right thing, and he has a wife and kid. Michael J. White, cool to see him. Again, not much to his character. He's just, you think he's a good guy, then he's a bad guy, then he has a fight with Seagal at the end with paper cutters. It's just, you're not going to get much from the characters, but as a brainless action movie, I had fun with it. Wasn't boring. Had a budget behind it. I'd found no one annoying in the cast. Got a few chuckles out of Anthony Anderson, Tom Arnold. Cool to see Steven Seagal seem like he was getting somewhat into shape again. The little fights he has, he's not doing fight doubles, but again, they're not up to par with his earlier films. They're much more, again, stylized. I think even Seagal says that in the little making of about how the fight scene's a little bit different. How they're pretty much telling him to do more stylized, and that's not what he usually does. But hell, I'll take this over his direct-to-video shit. So, I liked it. I don't think it's that bad of a movie. But that's just my thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. And I think also I'm kind of saving my energy because next day I talk about Half Past Dead. And I'm going to need a lot of energy for that. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit low-key in this review, because I know what's coming next. And Half Past Dead is what the fuck we're going to feel after seeing that film. So, you'll see that soon.